a sacrifice seduced for the altar of your vanity. A jealous, hungry God, craving praises of profanity. With bedroom dark and dine, and a deep mouth stained with wine, it drinks its fill. It was your mothers, not your brothers, that agreed to feed you poison. This egregious lack of choice indeed seemed fit to join your voice in, with lies disguised as prizes of reason and wisdom, with briberies of finery to weaken any criticism. Can the fly invade the blossom that devours it? A mouth that lies in wait for a gift of life to shower it.
Alright, we're back. It is session 88. Before we get going to the meeting with Alexander that's on the agenda, some of you guys have plans. What we're going to do is there's a 2-week interval from last session. And in those 2 weeks, there's some stuff that people are doing. So, we'll start with Hatshepsut, since Hatshepsut needs to dip out for a refreshment here in a few minutes. Hatshepsut, I need either you or your seneschal, whoever's doing this, we're going to make 3 rolls for me. The first roll is your choice. It's going to be either a charisma and subterfuge or a stamina and commerce roll.
Interesting. Oh shit. Oh shit. We still haven't assigned the essential his actual stats.
When in doubt, default to 4 dice.
Yeah, I'll just go with my stats for now.
Okay, sounds good.
So I'll go with charisma subterfuge. Base diff of
6.
Yep.
Your seneschal is a 1-point retainer, correct?
I believe so.
Alright. 1 success, that's all you needed. What did you roll? Stamina? Or
Charisma.
Charisma, alrighty. So he goes out and he does a bunch of partying, talks to a bunch of people, comes back, tells you, yeah, there's probably a market for this. And then intelligence and commerce, or wits and seneschal, and that will default to 5 dice since that's going to be his primary specialty there.
Okay.
Or sorry, it's just intelligence commerce. 5 dice. I assume he's going to be a mental character mostly, so...
Yeah. For now, I'll just treat it as rolling just Hat's raw intelligence because you said it was 5 dice, yeah?
Yeah. That's pretty much, if I don't know the stats for a person, it's going to be 4 or 5.
Oof.
True botch.
Oh dear.
Alright. He is unable to figure out the contracts that are going to be needed to get the wheat and the other supplies. So he comes back and he basically says this is going to have to wait for a while, maybe for the market to settle, and we'll revisit in like 6 months.
Very well. I'm sure you tried your best.
Alright, Labiana, did you want to do anything in these 2 weeks before the party?
No, I honestly don't think she has anything really pressing
Okay.
to do between now and then.
All right. We're gonna go to Decius next then. So Decius, you spend
Chris,
yes.
I'm sorry, but I don't know, my body is reacting really weird right now. I need to go to the toilet.
All right, you go. I'll skip to Albina. Albina, you have been considering some sources of action, some plans for the major Bunis being called in on you. What have you decided?
Well, I believe I'm going to have to go over to my side and bite the bullet and speak to her.
Okay. You do so. You arrange a meeting with her. She looks disturbed. It's been a while. It's been a little bit since you last talked to her. And she's got a haunted look in her eye. The constant effort, the killing. Even though she's not on humanity, it's doing something to her. It's not taking her to a good place.
A hint of concern falls on her face as she briefly forgets about the reason why she's even there. She feels the bloodbound tugging at her to care for her. She reaches for the hand to her. Mr. Ismaila.
And she's got the instinctive. She looks at you, and it's not with the possessiveness that you're used to. You can't call it love because she doesn't love you, but you've always been a prized possession to her, and there's something in her face that just puts you off. Like, am I not, still number one here? What's going on? And she's like, oh. What did you want tonight? I'm quite busy.
I understand that. I was planning to prepare a frame job on an Assamite. See it that he's blamed for joining forces with the ones that seek to overthrow a prince. I was thinking perhaps that I need to get his writing style for this. Example of his seal or something that be identifiable to him. I hope perhaps you would consider taking him in, as accepting signing a contract here as an assistant in your duties as Scourge. A contract that I would have access to.
She steeples her fingers. She's thinking kind of deeply about it. And she's like, well, that's actually a pretty good idea. We could make them a genuine offer to come on as an assistant. To lighten the burden, as it were. Why don't we arrange a meeting? Why don't we do that?
Very well. I'll tell him about it. You look quite burdened by your duties.
Oh, it's not enough time to myself. If I get an assistant, that will actually help me out quite a bit. It's a burden to spend time away from my studies and amongst the lowest of the low, those who don't even know how to offer hospitality or correct thanks. They have no education, no one to teach them the right ways to do things.
Do I detect some hint of some emotion in her voice when she says this?
Disgust.
That disgust.
Yeah, it
A lot.
doesn't make her sad. It makes her disgusted.
Yeah. There was I remember a venture that I heard that might also be interested in taking work alongside you.
And who is that?
Dacius from Mercatory.
Oh, yes, I've actually spoken to him. He doesn't want my work. He wants his own little flock of nestling birds to keep under his wing.
I see. That explains why he wishes to take my offer then, to bring work to you. He knew he would give up a lot and likely to earn very little.
I will admit to a certain amount of admiration for his industriousness in this regards. He's taking a bigger risk than he knows. These fledglings, these uneducated barbarians that he seeks to take under his wing, have no respect for our laws and our history. One mistake, and he becomes the man on the hook for it.
I believe he is under the impression that he'll be able to impose that discipline on those fledglings. He's going to be able to impose that respect on them.
He may be able to do it. It remains to be seen if he can.
She nods. She says, "Is there anything else that you would require of me, mistress?"
At the moment, no. I am working on a target, though, that may require your assistance in the future. Your skills in the black sorcery have grown impressively, and they will be of significant help.
She stands a bit straighter at that, puffs out her chest a bit, and feels pride going up her spine, a sensation of pride at the phrase. To hear these words from you mean a great deal to me.
Your failures have been very few, as they should be. I have been very proud of you so far.
My failure should have been non-existent.
I wouldn't say that, but I will say they've been very few. No La Sombra survives even as long as you have, without being exceptional.
Well, La Sombra should be exceptional. To embrace anyone that isn't would be a waste of our blood.
It is. You have experience with the court of the night. You have been offered their rewards in the past. You recall this from the time with Carthage, remember?
Yes, the destruction of a rogue La Sombra. I remember it. We cornered her in the harbor of a village after destroying her haven.
The sanctioned destruction and reclamation of La Sombra blood is among the most sacred duties of the court. We cannot allow ourselves to grow weak and complacent by allowing failures to fester within our ranks. As you talk to her, she's getting more energized. Her shoulders are straightening back. It's like the talk is making her remember what it was before she was bowed by the burdens of her position. Yes, with my blessings, go and speak to the children of Hakim. I believe their Castellan is a young one. His name is Astartes. Astartes and Gulzar are the two that we will be speaking to of this matter.
Understood, mistress. Thank you for your assistance and your blessing in this.
All right. You would certainly know how to arrange a meeting with Astartes. Astartes is he looks like a teenager, about 17 or 18 years old. He is incredibly handsome, and there's something about him that speaks to more than just being good looking. Something about him draws you in, where you look at him and it's just you want to touch him and you want to feel him, and you want to be close to him. So he is a advisor, just like Gulzar Shadi. They do agree to meet with you and the Scourge, especially when you name drop her. Hey, she wants to talk to you about this. So they meet you in a pleasantly appointed building. They let you in the front door. They bring you into a room, and one thing you notice immediately, the decor is somewhat reminiscent of Ihamis's. There's no Greek couches. There's very few tables. There are rugs. There are cushions. There's some bizarre implements that modern days you would recognize as what's called a hookah. But of course you've never seen one of these before. You have no idea what it's for. So it's sitting in one of the rooms. But the walls themselves are clean. There's no gaudy gold decorations, no weird paintings and writings on the wall like there is with Ihamis. They show you in. The two of them sit down. So, like I said, I described Ihamis. He's a teenager, pretty good-looking guy. Gulzar he looks to be a man in his mid to late 20s. He's got black hair, black beard. He wears the sandals, the robes. He's an okay guy. Okay, he's not ugly. He's not handsome. Just an average-looking guy. From his reputation, Gulzar is very friendly. He'll talk to anybody. He is on the road of humanity, and pretty much everybody knows it. He loves to talk about weaving and falconry. The Stardust is a bit more reserved, but he's a very tough bargainer. A bargainer. And while I search for the pictures so you guys can see them, we'll let you start. They sit down on the cushions. You, your sire, the two of them. They offer you a hit off the hookah if you want. They have burning some sort of mold or fungus in it.
I'll never politely accept.
It's nasty. It's
She tries to avoid showing disgust. Tries to maintain her neutral expression.
But the two of them seem to enjoy it, so... There is one other Assamite that you saw, but she's not in the meeting with you. It's a female. Looks pretty similar to Astartes, if you could overlook the missing eye and the massive scarring on her face.
she's Abner's going to, as she sits and takes the hookah, she's going to then turn to the two of them. It is an honor to be granted this meeting, the two of you, Lord the starters, and um,
Oh, please, it's relax. We are here to speak business. I'm
the
fortunate that you agreed to meet with us. I'm happy to receive you into our home. You may speak freely here and know that none will learn of your business from us.
the reputation of your clans as judges and as enforcers of the wills of a lord, the wills of a prince, the wills of all the of our rulers are very well known. And that is what we came here to discuss with you. I like to believe that such fame could be put to use, such abilities could be put to use in working alongside Messiah, Mistress Maela, in her role as the scourge of a city and of a prince.
Well, that is a possibility we've discussed a few times in the past amongst ourselves. But we always came to the conclusion that she never really wanted help. So why now?
The growing population of kindred, especially of kindred young, and that spend much of their lives and lives outside of the bounds of Rome, outside of the civilized society, is growing. As I ensure that it is known, as I ensure that we have our notes, and it has become a belief that more hands is necessary to keep them all in line and to punish all the detractors, all the miscreants, the ones that had broken the rules set by our prince. Especially the stock of uh, this coup attempt by Carthaginian loyalists that apparently still remained and escaped the destruction of the city.
Well, we are not terribly interested in killing for the sake of killing. It is our sacred duty to make sure that Canaanites do not grow too complacent and do not accept a role as final arbiters of humankind. So, our role as judges is to judge Canaanites.
I see.
For not just mere law breaking, but when they become a burden, a true burden on humans and on society. So, that being the case, if your sire would be willing to accept a small retainer in order to judge each case if we should get involved, I think that would be something we could discuss.
She's going to look over to her side, see if that sounds acceptable to her. See that she gives any indication of her opinion on this.
Your sire seems to be mulling it over, and she says, "Well, let me make a counter proposal. I could always use some help tracking down the latest arrivals and deciding if they should be spared or brought to someone who could make use of them. Additionally, it's not just the new arrivals I have to worry about. It is those werewolves who break our tentative truce, mages who the cult of Mercury, and you see Astartes nods. He's heard of them. Those mages who seek to impose themselves on the will of the princeps and his court. So, if you would see fit to have somebody help me scout, gather information, and yes, if we come to the mutual decision that they should be the one to make the kill and to reclaim whatever price it is you're paying, then we can cross that bridge when we come to it. Astartes and your sire start getting into it along that vein, and Golzar taps you on the shoulder and he says, "Let's give them some time to talk. This might be a while." And he leads you out of the room. So it's just you and him right now.
She follows.
Yeah. So he takes you to another waiting area. He actually takes you to his falconry. So there's a falcon on the sitting on a perch. And there's a weaving machine in one corner. One of those great big
She looks up to the falcon. Is this yours?
Things, and he's like, "So, sit down. Why don't you, I've never had a chance to talk to you. I don't know who you are as a person, or, as I've heard your name. I've heard your reputation, but that's really all I know. So, why don't you tell me about yourself?"
As it is now, the founder of the Scourge, Albinus. I have been working for the benefit of a city for about around 2 centuries now, I believe. We met most of my coterie about 1.5 centuries ago. There has been few deaths among them. My first duties are under the tutorship, under the patronage of Lady Astartes. No, in fact, not Astartes. Artemis, under the patronage of Lady Artemis. She then shrugs as she finishes speaking that. What would you like to know about him? About me?
I'm just curious. I'm just an avid person who just likes to talk and understand who we're talking to and dealing with, and before Astartes arrived, it was my job to determine if we should unleash the might of the might of our clan and to purge a stain on the face of this earth. You know, we have a long history with the Salubri, the unicorns. We've trained together. I have seen them in combat and spoken to their healers on many occasions. Um, my own sire was saw them in battle. In fact, near the second city. So, our lore and our knowledge goes back quite a long time.
You are close to the Saluber, you say.
Oh, our clan is not us personally. In fact, I haven't seen very many of them. I've heard tell there's a couple made it back a few years ago, and I know you hang out with one. Nicodemus, I've talked with him a few times. He's a pleasant chap. No problems or quarrels with him.
Perhaps it would be of your pleasure if I had to put the two of you in contact.
Well, they're always welcome here.
It would write letters to use letters to keep in contact with one another when a more personal visit is not possible. Mm,
Well, we do enjoy visitors. It's so rare that a lot of the older ones remember our traditional function, and it frightens them. Um, Here we have to recognize the power and authority of Princeps Titus Ventris Camillus. He he's forbidden certain things, so we have to be careful. But we do enjoy receiving visitors. Are you sure I can't get you anything? No. You want a second spot on the hookah? Would you like a refreshment? Um, Anything?
not wish to impose myself on your household.
Yeah. It's no imposition. Anyone who comes to us and is allowed inside, we treat like family.
Then please let us share a meal together, if you'd be so kind.
And so we can. Um, he will go and speak to the woman standing outside, and he says something really quickly in a language you don't catch, and she trots off and comes back with someone, and he says, he introduces the person and basically says they're a volunteer. They're like a cleaner, they're a maid, and we can feed off of her, but we have to be very careful because she's never had two at once. Not You can ignore the double entendre there because he doesn't speak in sexual jokes.
I'll now gently go over to the woman and lift a hand over next to her face. And be gentle. I have no desire to kill one of yours or to cause any harm. She's going to then gently bite into her.
Yeah, so the two of you each take an arm and gently caress and feed and just a little at a time allow it to trickle down your throats, and you mechanically gain a blood point. She basically immediately passes out from the pleasure of two vampires feeding on her at the same time. He guides her to the ground, puts her on a cushion, and gives her a cup of tea for when she wakes up, so she'll have something nice and warm right there to drink. So you see that he treats her well. He treats her very well. He's very caring. and he does have to dip out of the room for a moment to fetch the hot water. So it gives you a minute or so to take a peek around his room.
She's going to look around, and she's first of all, is there anything that looks to be any of the tapestries that look to have his mark?
So first things first, I'd like you to roll perception plus awareness. You can modify this with Auspex if you have it.
Nope. And that is not a botch, but it is a failure.
Okay, that's all right. That was again, awareness is some supernatural stuff, not physical stuff. All right, so you begin your quick search, checking around his room real quick. He does have a writing desk. There is a stack of parchment, a ink pot, and some quills. You jimmy his desk drawers, and you realize there's a fancy trick to opening this. It's not a lock, but there's some sort of fancy trick to it that you're gonna have to figure out really quickly. It's like a puzzle lock of some kind. So you gotta like press a couple of spots on the desk in the right spot. It's just a matter of finding those trigger points. So we're gonna go ahead and roll wits plus crafts, or wits plus legerdemain, whichever's better.
Yeah, same.
Ooh, nice. With 3 successes. You think about it for a second, and you're like, I've seen something like this before. And you grab a knob, and you push it in, and you grab something at one corner, and you find a little loose piece, and you click that in, and you feel the mechanism give. There's a spring or something on the inside, and you can pull the drawers open. Right,
She
now
opens
with
it up.
a very quick dexterity and stealth roll to rifle through the drawers without getting overheard.
Can I blood buff my dexterity for this?
Yes, you can.
Okay, increase the dex by 4.
All right. You think about it for a second, and you're like, all right. You call on the beast and everything within you. And your precious vitae rushes to your limbs and your fingers, and you begin to flick through his desk drawers with the speed of a professional sleight of hand artist. Just open, shut, quick. You make sure nothing squeals or jams, and there is a block of wax and a big stamp in one of the drawers.
I suppose she could not take a copy of this temp itself at this point. This would not be quick enough, so she's going to take it.
Alright, so you can grab the stamp. You can probably stamp the block of wax real hard and get an impression, a negative impression.
Okay, yeah, she's going to do that. She wants to leave a little clue that there is anything missing behind a block of wax. Be less likely it could go to be felt missing than the stamp.
Yeah, the block of wax, you might have been like, oh, I must have used it all and forgot, or
Yeah.
something like that.
So she's going to do the stamp on the wax.
Alright, with 6 successes, you stamp it, you rub it in real good, you pull it off, you're like, alright, that looks pretty good. Put everything back, hit the trigger release, and you step back just as you see him turn the corner. And so you're standing there with the block of wax carefully hidden in your hand, doing the I'm innocent whistle. Nothing going on here to see. And he says, oh, thank you for waiting so patiently. I'm sorry to have kept you while I fetched this, but
It's nothing
sometimes you
to
have
be
to do what you
sorry.
have to do.
It's nothing to be sorry about. I understand the importance of keeping your mortals well, and the amount of care that they might require to ensure that happens. Back in the code that me and much of my coterie operate, we have to do similar, uh, must dedicate similar amount of attention to mortal followers.
Oh, they provide us with the things we need to survive. Not just vitae, but companionship, speech, talk, an audience for our rambling thoughts. They're more than just walking sources of blood.
She nods, she nods a bit at this as she takes notes of how clearly this man must be very high on humanity. At least he must be either a very new vampire or very dedicated to his path. If I may, if you do not consider such to be an indiscretion, may I ask how old you are?
Oh, yeah, phew. Let me think. I need to do some mental math here. And he starts talking about some star charts and stuff that Hatchetsit would be very happy to hear about. And he says, so, something on the order of 300? 350? Yeah, something like that.
She nods, a bit surprised showing her face a little bit. I see. It requires a great deal of willpower to hold on to your humanity as well as you have for so long.
Well,
The great
admittedly,
deal of
there's
dedication.
a lot of unlife that I've missed out on. I've declined to participate in fights. I decline to kill if I can. I've always tried to make peace with my enemies, and when necessary, I've had to run.
She smiles a bit at that, at the mention of sometimes having to run. That is a very important lesson to learn. I heard you are a very talented weaver.
Well, thank you. It's a skill that I picked up in my mortal days and never wish to drop.
Is there any tapestries, anything on the room that might be his work?
There's one half made at the moment. That's in the weaving machine. There's others on the floor that may or may not be. You'd have to dedicate some pretty close study to figuring out what's his and what's not without just asking him.
She's just going to ask, is this your work? She's going to motion to the tapestries on the floor.
Oh, one of them is. And he points to one. He's like, this one over here, as you can see, it's something from my early days. It's getting pretty threadbare. It's on the verge of falling apart. I need to copy it soon. That might be my next project. The rest are gifts from others.
You had the pleasure of meeting Mistress Helena.
I have not.
She's quite a talented weaver herself.
Well, if my sire ever
Perhaps-
permits me to go and speak with her, I would love to talk skill and trade with her. That sounds like a very pleasant way to pass the time.
She is a very pleasant woman to stay alongside with. And your talent, I believe it might impress even her. Or at the very least catch her attention.
Oh, I doubt that. I'm just I'm good for a human, but I'm not good for, even the bull dancers or the artists. My talent pales in comparison to most of them.
I hear that you are also dedicated to falconry. She's going to motion to the bird.
Yep. He says, "Oh, yeah, that's that's my other way of passing the time. Of brings in a little bit of money for us and gets us on friendly terms with some of the wild clan that likes to hang out.
You have the ability to recruit the animals. Or do you use the more mundane methods to train and teach them?
No, I'm merely just a mundane trainer. I've had to put up with more chunks of flesh torn from my fingers and more punctured leather gloves and a few close calls on my eyeballs than I care to remember. But yeah, just standard training for me. What about you? What do you like to do for fun? Like I said, I've heard of you from reputation, but I don't really know more than that.
My past as a mortal, as a priestess, and I have taken some of that spiritual learning and leaning towards my present times as a Canaanite. Contemplation, meditation, and overall learning of methods of faith are something that interests me deeply, even if the mortal version of it does not cause my attention anymore.
How fascinating. All right. So while your sire and Stardust talk and negotiate, the two of you go back and forth like this, learning about each other. Um, there's no deception in this guy. He doesn't. You never get the impression that he's lying to you or trying to string you along. So you have a pleasant conversation, and eventually, a few hours before dawn, they come to get you, and they tell you that they will continue negotiations later. But your sire tells you things are going well, and she believes that she might actually be able to get them on board with the plan of helping her.
Alvina nods, looking pleased to the news to her side, and she gives a courteous goodbye to um, Astartes and his. Fuck, I forgot his name again. Starts with the G. Gamael?
Golzar, Gulzar.
Golzar.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
she gives a courteous goodbye.
not Gozer, Golzar.
She gives a courteous goodbye to the both of them.
Right. Moving on. Let's go to Decius here. Decius. You spent some time tracking down a potential Nosferatu convert or a recruit to your budding organization. But unfortunately, the last man was pretty stubborn. And to get the information out of him, you basically had to do some Hollywood torture. And you beat the crap out of him, you tied him to a chair, and you beat his ass, and he finally cracked and told you what he knew. Which was that this Nosferatu was going to come and check on what he considered to be his people. And it was going to be in a spot near the river where he usually shows up. So you only have an hour or two to prepare. So you don't have time to get a whole bunch of help and show up. You basically just, as soon as you wake up, you have to go.
Yeah, pretty much. This is as soon as he wakes up, takes his two ghouls with him and goes to that destination.
Right. So you're sitting there waiting. It's dark. It's by the river. It's smelly. There's reams of human waste and dead fish and guts and everything else that come drifting down the water. There's piles of refuse. There's the tents and the shanty structures of the poor, built right up on the riverbank. In fact, on a heavy rain, it might, flood where they're at. And in fact, the river does flood a couple times a year, and in fact washes away a lot of these structures. That's why they're all built of poles and threadbare cloth. And so the three of you and your two ghouls are sitting there, or standing there, waiting, talking, and from behind a pile of trash, this giant brick comes flying through the air, smashes into the ghoul with the hammer, smashes his head. He goes down, boom, hits the ground.
Okay. I would have told my ghouls if if someone does something violent at them, just try to not act before I actually tell them to act. So I will tell them to restrain themselves if someone ambushes them or anything.
Yep.
We'll try to talk this
Yep.
through.
So he goes down. He hits the ground. Blood immediately starts pouring out of his head. Your other ghoul goes to one knee beside him. He starts going, "Oh, by the gods, Persephone and Hades and Asclepius, we're gonna need help. Look at his head." And you can see his head is actually kind of caved in. You can see bits of bone in the light from where it sliced his scalp open and crushed part of his skull. So he's hurt bad.
I will tell Lucius to just help Titus with his wound. In the meantime, Decius will just not look at anything specifically, but speak to the general vicinity, and say that that was an understandable retaliation. And if you are listening to me right now, I want to apologize for the way, things come to this. But I'm here to speak with you. My intentions are not as violent as they might have been seen the last night. Decius is taking a peaceful approach, trying to...
The voice comes out from the darkness. It seems to be coming from between a couple of tents at the moment. So you can actually put a direction to it. And he's like, why should I believe you? All you people, you all act the same to me. Put me down, shove me in the dirt, and put me out to survive in the trash.
Yeah.
What have you done for me? Why should I believe you?
Yeah, Decius will turn slowly towards the general area where the sound is coming from. He will just speak towards that direction and say, "Listen, I'm here because someone else, contrary to me, someone else is coming after you to hunt you down. I'm here to make an offer and prevent that from happening. And I want to do this because I actually care."
All right. Need you to make a manipulation and subterfuge roll.
Okay, I know we are rolling subterfuge, but I'm not really lying here.
Yes, you are. You don't care.
I'm okay. Sure, if you say so.
You
I
don't care
don't
about
really
him.
care
You
in
care
that
about
way.
your own
In that
reputation.
way. Yeah. I care about gaining power, so I care about him in that way, but not necessarily care as in what happens to him. Yeah.
You care in a more abstract sense than is being implied.
Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah. Yeah, I can't see that. Okay, making the roll. Would my specialty apply here? Swaying people to my terms?
No, that's more of a bargaining tactic.
Yeah, that sounds fair. Okay, manipulation subterfuge.
Yep.
Can I spend the willpower to not fuck this up?
Yes. Yes, you can.
Okay. Okay, so there's 2 success.
Okay. And he's going to roll willpower and see if you have successfully persuaded him to come out of hiding and talk to you.
Man. Oh man. So is the tie? What happens in a tie?
All right. He does. Some of the aggression has gone out of his voice, but he has not quite argued out of hiding.
Okay.
He's like,
I think
I don't think you really care, but at least I think you didn't mean to actually hurt him real bad. So,
that's you know what? That sounds good enough for me. I will then if I see him not like throwing another brick, I will just keep on with my thing. I will keep talking. I will say, did you heard this individual roaming around the streets of Rome and murdering young newcomers to the city? The shadow or whatever the rumors are describing that creature as. The Scourge.
Yeah, that thing got my buddy Slime Tooth already. I don't but we did
Listen.
hear, we heard something, so I'm going to be prepared when it comes for me.
Yes. Actually, you might prevent that creature from even coming after you, which it is doing right now. It is targeting you, but I'm here before it. I'm here before it arrived here. I arrived here before him, her, whatever. And I'm here to just offer a trade, a bargain to you. And if you hear me out, I will be really happy. I apologize for roughing up some of the people you care about, but I did it with good intentions.
He's like, yeah, and again, he hasn't moved. It's coming from one spot. You just can't see him yet.
Yeah. Listen, there are things in the city, we call them traditions, rules, whatever, laws, and we are quite dedicated in following these rules. And when people do not follow it, there are other people who would retaliate in exchange. Scourge is one of those individuals who retaliate to those that do not follow the rules. The thing I'm offering is that I will protect you. I will tell you these rules that are so wholeheartedly believed and followed in the city by the prince and the scourge and by the way, I'm just telling these titles, but they don't exist right now, but you can assume the equivalent.
You're using the period appropriate terms.
Yeah. And beyond other kindreds, there are also other things in the city. You probably already know these creatures. The wolfskins. Some mysterious mortals that have more abilities than a normal mortal. All these various mysteries in urban place such as this, Rome. I'm offering that I can teach you these laws. I can tell you, I can give you information about the city. I can tell you which individuals are important and should be careful around. I can tell you which importance you should not gather the ire of. I can protect you from those looking to take your domain, hurt your people. I can help you integrate yourself with the city become more attuned to it.
All right, roll your manipulation and leadership.
Okay. Gonna spend willpower for that as well, because I am one unlucky bastard. Okay, so there's 5 success.
All right. He steps out from behind the trash heap where he's at. He says, I guess you make sense. And this guy's tall, like more than 2 meters. Big creature. Looks like he's wearing a pelt of some kind, some sort of animal skin, with long fur and a big hood over top of its head. And as he gets closer, you realize that's not an animal skin, that's him.
Decius will look at him, look at his eyes. Of course, he will not use dominate, but as I went through, he just looks at people's eyes, at their kindred's eyes. So he will stare at his eyes. He will also pay attention if he averts his gaze or if he blocks his gaze as well, like Decius.
Yeah, he meets your eyes. He's either really brave or really stupid, and you're gonna lay money on ignorant and stupid.
Yeah. Once he approaches, Decius will say, so I assume that you're expecting that there is another side to this bargain I'm offering, and indeed, there is one. When I need some help, I will ask you to help me, and in exchange, I will do the things I mentioned before. This is simply a healthy relationship we call here in Rome a patron-client relationship. And both sides in this relationship simply help each other, make each other, in the simplest term, survive.
So you're
If
gonna
you want
teach
to
me and
leave-
protect me, and I just have to do a few things for you. That's pretty much how it works, right?
Yes, time to time I will need help. I will need your skill sets. I will need your abilities in use. I will ask you to do those for me. And whenever you wish, you can just leave. You can say that I don't want this bargain. I don't want to work with you anymore, and you can just leave. Just like that. Just know that the moment you do so, there is no more any connection between us. And you will be left alone. Or I should say, we will not have a connection anymore. And as long as you agree with this bargain, any mistakes you do, I will be punished for it, not you. So understand that your well-being is important for me, not only because we have an agreement, but because I will also get punished. So there is not only internal reasons why I care about this, but there's also external reasons why I care about this.
Well, I guess that makes sense, and I guess I can live with that.
Okay.
And
Well,
he bends down and he picks up the ghoul that's on the ground, and with no discernible effort, hoists him up. And he's like, I guess you'll be wanting to get him to a surgery or a doctor or something.
oh, don't worry. I will help Titus after this. Now, first of all, before we depart, because I do wish that one of the most important thing I shall tell you right now is that the first tradition is masquerade. The scourge is hunting you because she knows that you time to time drink dry your praise. You kill the humans and you leave them alone, dumped around the city. You cannot keep doing that. You have to feed from them without excessively taking blood. They have to survive. You need to keep the masquerade.
He kind of looks at himself and he's like, well, you tell me how I'm supposed to do that.
Well, we are going to do that, don't worry. I'm just telling you beforehand because this is the most important one. So this is the one you should know immediately. I will take you now to the appropriate kindreds, and I will declare that you are now under my protection. Once we do that, it's going to be an official thing.
Well, okay. Well, I guess we can go then.
Okay. I will say Decius will turn and tell Lucius to take Titus and, pay for a doctor or something to help Titus, essentially. So he will send his ghouls and he will stay with the Nosferatu, and he will take Nosferatu to Scourge's place to announce that he is now under his protection.
Okay. Scourge is not there.
Scourge is not there?
Nope. Scourge is out doing other stuff.
Okay. Is there a second place I can go to announce this, or how am I supposed to do it, just to be clear?
Take
might
him
be
to
missing
a safe place to stay and send a message to Princeps and let him know that you have a Nosferatu under your protection that you would like to introduce when he has time.
I will tell the Nosferatu to use his obfuscate, just to not be seen by people or anything, and then follow me. I will take him to my haven, and I will give him one of the kindred guest rooms in my haven to him and tell him to stay there for the night. Next night we will do the announcement to public, and I will do that for the Gangrel as well.
Okay.
Not only for him.
All right. So, you have your giant Chewbacca clone, and you have Gangrel under your protection.
Yes.
All right. Nicodemus, since you are now here, before we get to the play and party with Alexander, was there anything you needed to do?
Yes. I suppose with this time given, now it's time to look for the first temple that would wish to adopt the astrolabe.
Okay.
So I guess the idea is to figure out which temple would be most receptive. Oh, actually, before I go to that, is Nicodemus by this time skilled enough to use the astrolabe on his own?
Yeah, you have a
in the
pretty good
manner
amount
that-
of academics, and even though you could never make one, you've read the manual on it enough that you can at least demonstrate how it keeps track of the change of seasons and the moon phases and stuff. So, yeah, you can demonstrate it.
That's one question. The other was being, is Nicodemus versed enough to use it in the same fashion for the benefits of the Coterie cult?
Yes.
Okay, that's fair enough, I suppose. If other cults are going to have the advantage, why not have it as well?
Yep.
Free of charge.
So the first place you probably think would be able to use it is the government and religious people that keep track of the calendar. In as much as the calendar is also a political weapon in Rome, there is a group of people whose sole job is to keep track of it for accurate records. And you would know that, and those are probably the best guys to start with.
but they're not linked to any religious rites, right? They're just scholars that
They
track
are.
the
I mean, a lot
seasons.
of the rites are based off the official calendar, and so the group that keeps track of the official calendar, and it would go to the Senate and say, "Hey, we need to add an extra couple of days here because we're falling behind." Would in fact be a great place to start.
But they don't really have a lot of competition in Rome, do they not? Do they? So there's not much leverage that can be put on them since they're the official decree makers on the moving of seasons.
Right. So
And
okay,
pretty much
I see your point
pretty
there. No,
much mean
there's no real competition for them.
but on the other hand, if some measurements go against the official calendar, it may actually be a bad thing. Well, maybe it's not a bad place to start after all. I mean, it must be a headache to trace it all by. I don't even know how they figure out seasons without any kind of measuring tools.
Yeah, they kind of go by guesswork and records and moon phases. So, yeah. So there's one particular Fluminense who is in charge of this stuff, and off the top of my head, I don't remember exactly what religion he's associated with. I would guess Jupiter or Juno. But pretty much everybody knows who's in charge of it. It's common knowledge. So that knowing who to go talk to is not the problem here.
Okay, let's start with there. I suppose it doesn't really hurt of going there, even though they may have a low drive. If they say no, then screw them.
Yep.
So is that if it's connected with any sort of temple, then I suppose some offerings would be a good token to begin the discussion with. They actually hold an official rank of augurs or something.
They do. The Sibyls, they call on to cast their auguries. But there's a whole bunch of different styles and different augurs. So they all kind of have their own way of doing stuff.
Gotcha. Does Nicodemus know? It shouldn't be a problem of visiting them by night, since they probably make some measurements at night.
No, it's getting an appointment is probably going to be your big one of the first hurdle.
Okay, so let's just go there right off the bat, like first thing in the evening. Let's get some cash for possible offerings to break the ice. And Nicodemus would don his more decent robes for this kind of discussion and head there.
All right. I would like a quick, let's say, charisma and etiquette roll to get yourself an appointment at night.
Okay. Charisma and etiquette.
Yes.
Charisma.
Argue your way in. All right, the house slave who's answered the door is just like, he's really tired, and if you come back tomorrow, you might have better chance. Oh, but wait, tomorrow is his mother's coming over, so that's not a good day. And then the day after, and he starts
surely,
off. like that?
Surely I can convince you. And Nicodemus flashes a bit of a coin just to have a better reception from this person.
He does go back and forth a little bit, but now that you've shown willing to offer a bribe, he's much more amenable, and he does eventually let you in for an appropriate amount of coin.
Excellent. I am most grateful. And yeah, Nicodemus parts with the coins. I assume it's not big of a deal.
No,
Or just your regular under the table bribe.
correct. He sets you down in a visitor's room and goes to let his master know that you're there. You have a important tool that you'd like to show him, a business opportunity, and he didn't feel right trying to push you away. Right, so he comes in, somewhat younger man. Obviously, position was bought with daddy's money. He's got a big glass of wine. He's half drunk already. And he's got a crust of bread in his hand that he's eating as he comes into the visitors area to talk to you. And he's like, yeah, another one of you with another great business opportunity. What do you want?
It is quite simple, really. My associate has devised a method of measuring the movement of celestial bodies more accurately. And throughout this procedure, it would be, we believe, a great opportunity to make a service to Rome by providing those tools in order to adjust the calendars more frequently. Imagine the most accurate measurement of time, and imagine the most precise regulations that your cell, your organization can deliver within the line of work.
He sits down. He's like, I tell you what, you have until I finish this glass, this cup, to come up with a better sales pitch. And he starts drinking again. So you can give me a, let's say, charisma and commerce roll, or at difficulty 6, or a charisma and expression roll at difficulty 8.
Let's look. Charisma and expression. What we do. And 8 and versus charisma and commerce. I'll definitely go with charisma plus expression and toss in some willpower for this
Awesome.
roll. Charisma plus expression. 2. Willpower.
3.
Oh, come now. I know that change comes difficult, and we're all not receptive to new things. But think of the changes. Think of your name that you can write to your career and to the future generations. Would you be willing to take the name of those who influence the change and revolution of the modern timekeeping? Imagine the accomplishments you can reach with the new abilities. No more backhand guessing. No more figuring out what the alignment means. No more auguries from the food leftovers. this thing, and Nicodemus shows the astrolabe and points at these various intricacies that are related to how the various components turn, will allow you that. With a proper training and instruction, you will be able to predict the seasons to the utmost accuracy.
He actually sets his glass down, and you can see it was about a quarter full. And he's giving you actually good attention. And he's like, well, why don't you show me how this thing works?
Just one quick question, GM. How much time has passed? Can you remind me? Since then, I guess some willpower was
About 45.
restored
Let's say you've been doing
by
this for
now.
like 45 minutes. How much willpower is restored? We're gonna say
No,
this
I
is
meant
just
since
under
last session.
1 week. Let's go 1 week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So fresh willpower.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, excellent. I would need an access to the clear sky. I assume it's fairly clear outside, and that the stars are visible.
Oh, why don't you just show me from in here, man? Just to, like, assume, it's whatever the month is. It's April, and it's month Quintus of it is the 10th day, and show me when the next full moon is.
Very, very well. Quintus the 10th. Let's see. And Nicodemus focuses on the task, adjusting the astrolabe, trying to picture out how the various things would align themselves, and he puts the astrolabe to use.
Well, he's not. He actually looks pretty impressed. He's like, okay, well, I guess here's the big question. What do you want for it?
Obviously, a monetary compensation. I am here as a representative of my associate, which will dictate the price accordingly, and this will to cover an agreement that will furnish you with a device such as this, as well as training and perhaps supervision to put this into appropriate employ. So, if you're interested, I would be very much glad to present my associate at a later date of your choosing, and then the negotiation can be fulfilled into its most precise details.
Oh, I guess sounds kind of nice. How about we set it for, and he names the time. We'll do it then, and he can show me what he really got. We'll talk about it.
Excellent. This is very acceptable. Thank you.
Well, okay. I'll glad you stopped by. A lot of times I have guys like you thrown out, but lucked out today.
I am pleased that you considered it and you found it interesting. I can promise you will not be disappointed should the next presentation and the details meet your preferences.
Great. All right.
Do not let me with this. Thank you for this meeting, and do not let me disturb your meal.
He has the servant show you out. All right. Awesome. And you know how to send Vivlia or Libris the good news. So you know how to reach him.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Awesome.
Let's just stick with what Vivlia says. If he requests more temples, people as individuals to be convinced, and this way Nicodemus would oblige. But
Yeah.
obviously, there's a great deal of how much time he can spare for training those people.
Through this guy, he can get access to pretty much whoever else he needs. So, yeah, he did good. You did good job. All right, Labiana, you said you had an idea. Now, what did you feel like?
Well, I just realized there is something that she still needs to try and take care of, i.e., trying to find a way to learn that the healer Valorant
I've got you
first
covered there.
power.
So, unless you wanted to implement a plan of your own, I do have something coming up for that.
Okay. Oh well, if that's the case, never mind.
I mean, I don't want to rob you of your agency there. So, I mean, so if you had something you wanted to try first, but
Yeah.
so,
Well, I suppose the only thing she wanted to try and do was, well, one of her ideas was to try and find I don't know if a young salubri sort of in the city or in the surrounding area.
there are two, and as Nicodemus could tell you, and I think he probably did tell you, I believe they both signed on to work with Julia Antasia.
Okay. Do we know her, right?
Yes, you do.
Okay.
Julia is about the same age as Alexander. She is a tireless and dedicated advocate of the road of humanity,
Alright.
and that has made her several enemies.
Okay. Well, because I think her idea was going to be to, I don't know, find a human who may already be near death. Perhaps take them to them, or obviously find them first, then take this human to them, and proceed to see if she can ask for their help to try and determine what's how that
Yeah.
healer
Alright, so
Valorant works.
finding them is the tough part here. So you're not going to just run into them around Rome. I mean, nobody's that lucky. So you're going to need to roll your your wits and investigation and contacts rating. And if you want to if you have allies and you want to tap an ally for extra dice, they'll grant you 3 dice.
Okay. Well, one thing, she does have allies, although I don't know where I've put that on this sheet. The one thing she doesn't have is contacts. I don't think.
It should be on your sheet.
Is hold on. Allies. I don't think she's ever had contacts.
Yeah, well, you got allies. I see that. Get an allies rating
So
of
yeah,
2.
but I mean, otherwise,
So you're gonna use a dot. Grant you 3 extra.
yeah. So that,
Awesome.
So wait, 1 dot for 3 extra dice, did you say?
Yeah, so basically an ally is somebody who will do stuff for you, but you owe them a favor afterwards. But it's somebody you like and trust.
Okay.
And so if you use
That's
an
fair.
ally to grant you, basically the way I do it is they can do it for you, but it's not as good as if you do it yourself. And if you do it yourself, it grants you 3 dice as they're helping you.
Right, okay. Yeah, so that probably is the way she's going to do it. Because she's going to try and find out as much as she can and see if any of her allies can sort of alert her to anything as well.
Perfect.
That's the roll. There it is. So... Standard diff?
Yes. The more successes you get, the closer the location gets narrowed down.
Can I spend a willpower on this?
Yeah, I'll let you spend a willpower on it.
It's 3. Should be good.
All right. At least one of the Salubri has set up. Is often seen near the Palatine Hill. There are a number of temples where this Salubri has been seen. This particular one has been seen near the Vestal Virgins. And in fact, it is what they call the cult of the Bona Dea. Bonadea. The Bona Dea.
Daya. Okay.
It is a ladies' cult, basically.
Ah.
It's women's fertility and laws that affect women. It's kind of small. It's not big. But it's very old and very respected.
Okay, so she'll make a plan to check that out.
Yep.
At the same time, decide when to go down there and find. I think for the purposes of what she knows about the place, we'll try and find a female.
Okay. If you don't find one, you can always make one. You know how to hurt people.
She's definitely got that in the back of her mind.
Right? So you can get somebody who's sick, injured, at the shops, at the doctors, begging for healers, begging on the side of the street. There's always somebody who needs help.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, so you come
I
on a
guess
beggar, and she's like, please, some coins to help. I need a doctor to look at my leg. And you see her leg is like swollen and nasty. She's like, I heard it, and my landlord's going to kick me out of our apartment, and, I need a doctor to look at it so I can go back to work, and my children are going to suffer. Please, lady, please help. You have to help. And she gives her pathetic spiel.
She, I suppose for the purposes of this, she's going to try and put on as caring a look as she can possibly muster with the humanity she has left.
Well, under your
And
mask.
she will. Yeah, exactly. And she will look down at the woman and she'll say, I hear you, and let me help you. I know of a doctor close by, and I'll take you to them, and they can have a look at you, see what they can do for you.
You're so nice. You're so generous. Oh, thank you. Oh, thank the gods and goddess that you come along. Everyone's been spitting on me and they ignore me. Oh, you're so nice. Right. You help her hoist her along up the hills. You basically have to carry her most of the way because her leg is actually hurt.
Yeah.
You walk up to the temple. Like I said, the temple's pretty small. There's a couple ladies, and they are cleaning at the as the moon is rising brightly, and they're cleaning the mud and the muck off the steps. And the statue of the goddess is right there, looking over beneficently over the plaza in front of the temple. Up the hill, you can see the Temple of the Vestal Virgins, which is significantly larger and better made. So what do you say? You come up, you're dragging this lady with you. The two ladies are scrubbing her stop, and they're like, yes. You know, the temple closes at night, so unless it's an emergency, so...
Labiena will look at them. Oh, I'm sorry to disturb you at this late hour. I am afraid that this is a bit of an emergency, and she will kind of point to the lady's leg. It does appear to need to be looked at right away, if they're available, like if anyone here is available to help this poor woman.
I mean, we don't have any money to lend for a doctor. We don't exactly, you know, we're not the temple of the healers here. We'd like to help if we could. You know, we can give her some tea and some stuff, but that's really about it.
That will suffice. It will certainly do much better than where I had found her earlier this evening. I'm sure it will allow it to heal a lot more quickly.
All right. Well, one of them goes and runs to a apartment building and disappears inside for a while, and eventually comes out and with some a clay bowl of hot water with bits of herbs and stuff floating in it. And she's like, "Okay, you know, here you go. This should help ease your pain a little bit. We got a little extra money. That here's some offerings of fruit and stuff that was left over that you can have. Yeah, that's all we can do for you. I'm sorry." You're gonna have to push a little harder to get the salubri out here.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that. She might try and use a little bit of ore to try and persuade
There you
a
go.
little further.
All right. Spend a blood point. Roll your charisma and performance at difficulty 7 per the book.
To rename that. It was diff 8, right?
7.
Or 7, that's right. I might can I actually spend a willpower on this one?
Yeah. Because it's not a willpower roll.
Alright. I'll move that roll and move that blood point.
Alright, well, if you spent willpower, it's 2 successes. So, yeah, the two of them are like, oh, well, okay. And, yeah, they've fallen under the spell of your awe. So they're
Thank you
gazing
so
up at you
much.
like, yeah? Is there anything else?
Are you sure there's no one here that might be able to take a quick look at her?
Well, I mean, I guess there's one, maybe. I have to go ask. They go actually into the temple itself this time. And after a little bit, they come out and they're like, yeah, we can take her into the temple, and there's somebody there who can look, but, no promises. So they begin dragging the lady in. Do you interfere, butt in, like accompany them?
Well, I suppose since they're already under my spell, so to speak, I'd probably be like, would you mind terribly if I just came in and observed?
Huh? Well, I mean, we're not
I
really
promise
supposed
I
to.
I promise I won't get underfoot.
Let's do manipulation and subterfuge and presence rating. And you're at a +2 difficulty. Yeah. So diff 8,
I think
please.
so, yeah. Okay, so manipulation, subterfuge. Oh, excuse me. Put that roll. Don't have that one yet. I'll add that one. Subterfuge. Two, three, four, 6. I'm gonna do this right. Discipline 6, diff 8.
Alright, all you need is 1. You're good. Alright. They're like, well, I mean, they look at each other and they're like, it seems harmless. And they drag this lady in. The temple itself, like I said, is pretty small. It's laid out like your standard temple. It's got a statue of the goddess. The floor itself is maybe 5 or 6 meters square. There's a little altar, and there's a bowl there. It's got some offerings, fruit, bread, stuff in it. There's a single lamp to cast light, and there was one lady in there on her hands and knees scrubbing the floor, and she has the cross-shaped scar right in the center of her forehead that you have come to understand is a decent indicator of salubri.
She'll obviously make a mental note of that. And, proceed to observe everything that happens from here on in.
Alright, so they bring the lady in, and they set her down, and the lady stops and she's like, I mean, yeah, I can help her, but she looks at you and she's like, you need to get out. You're not part of this.
Oh,
I
I'm
should
sorry.
mention
They
she
said
has
it.
an incredibly weird accent, something you've never heard before.
Okay. Um,
She,
I'll turn to her. Oh,
you
I'm.
need to get
I'm.
out of here. You need to get out of here. It's a oh this is don't involve you.
Oh, I'm terribly sorry. They said it would be all right.
She takes a closer look and she's like, she gets up and she gets right up in your face, right up in there, eyeball to eyeball to third eyeball, and she reaches out and she grabs your mask and unless you stop her, she's gonna pull it off your face.
So now might be the perfect time to activate some more ore.
Um, yeah, she doesn't care about you
So
all.
I was gonna say at this point she might try and refrain from trying to grab her arm to stop her from grabbing at the mask.
All right, do you pull away or grab her hand or what?
Well, she might try and do a combination of pulling away and sort of putting her hand up to say please. Please leave the mask alone. She goes, I mean, if you wish, I can remain outside.
Yeah,
Of course,
she looks
she
you
has
right in the eyes
other.
and she goes, well, I know who you are. You are not welcome here. I know all about you.
Well, I don't know what you've heard, but I honestly am here to help this woman, and if you wish me to remain outside, I will.
Yeah, the third eye opens and it's looking right at you, and it feels like it's looking right into your soul. It says, I know you
Just
brought this
please.
woman here for your own selfish purposes. Please leave.
I mean, your opinion is your own, but I will leave you to it. Please do what you can for her. And she proceeds to turn around and go outside. She, of course, has a backup plan. So when she's out, once she's out of sight, what are the chances of her seeing any kind of homunculus, especially the smallest of her homunculus, rolling on a ball?
You don't know. The Salubri do have auspex, so there's that.
There is that.
But other than that, I mean, who knows?
I mean, at this point, Labian probably feels as she's got nothing to lose. So she's going to release Oculus.
Okay. You allow the eyeball to scamper out of the bottom of your robes while you're talking to the Salubri. And it scampers out and runs into the shadows, into the corners. and they escort you to the door, which is only a couple of steps away, and shut the door in your face. Get out.
As she expected.
All right. And now the
And I
Salubri is
think in
going
the-
to roll their dice pool of perception, alertness, auspex modified appropriately, to spot little tiny Oculus at diff 7. Jesus. Yeah, so
Wow.
I mean, it was base diff 8 using auspex down to 7. Holy shit. Alright, so she puts the, here's what you see through Oculus. Is, the Salubri walks up to the lady, puts her hands on her, the third eye opens. And you see the lady, her eyes close, and she just goes, thunk, she's out. Asleep. I lay her out on the ground. The Salubri stands up and she looks around for a second. And then her eyes widen, and it through the Oculus, it looks like she's staring you straight in the eyes. And she strides up, boom, in big steps, and she whips out, and she goes to grab your homunculus. It can run if you want to try to save it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I wasn't sure this was gonna work out too well, but yeah, it's just gonna roll away and. She's like, well, I gave it a shot. She may have to try and think of a different tactic this time. Find a different Salubri and, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, so the homunculus
Next
rolls
time.
off, and the Salubri's like trying to stomp on it like a freaking spider, leaping after it. And it rolls under the door, under a crack, and you scoop it up and run. All right.
Alright, well, I guess that's me done.
I think now's a good time. Let's take a short break, 10 minutes. We'll come back and get started with the time with Alexander.
How much time skip are we going to do with that?
A couple of nights. Yeah,
Okay.
you're not getting willpower back.
It's okay. I was curious if that will be a month with that.
Okay, we're back. It is party time. You guys are cordially invited, read expected, to attend a party and play. Alexander has provided you with the address. The directions bring you to a domus just off the Quirinal Hill in Rome. From the outside, it looks like any of the other 100 buildings crammed into the footpath leading up the hill. However, you go inside of it looks like a simple insulae, and you realize that the bottom basement floor, which is physically dug into the dirt, is actually been set up as a play area. There's some bleachers, a stage, a backdrop. The acoustics leave a little something to be desired, but other than that, there's a dedicated spot for plays and performances.
Do we know what kind of play it is?
You do. It is a Roman interpretation of an old Greek comedy called The Knights.
Does Alexander create his own art, like paintings or, I don't know, stuff like that?
You've never seen any.
I think I will take a generous but a subtle, because this is one of the normal parties, I assume. So a generous but a subtle gift for Alexander before we actually arrive to the party.
Okay. Yeah, so you do get there, nice and safe. There are some people getting set up. There's lamps all over the place with polished brass reflectors to light the stage and the area. The two levels immediately above, so the ground level and the floor above, there's people wandering around talking to each other. A lot of the walls have been torn out, leaving only the supports, so that people aren't getting isolated in little rooms. Julia Antasia is there, and Labiana, you notice one of the Salubri is there. The Salubri that you talked to is there, and is not leaving the side of
boy.
another person. There's another person there who's not leaving her side.
Does that person seem to be masculine, like strong?
No, it looks androgynous. Could be a man, could be a woman. Has a tightly wrap around their head of some sort of white band, like a white bandage.
Okay, he's a sensei.
Okay.
I'm kidding. I will approach to Alexander once we are in the party as to announce my arrival, assuming that is the respectful move to do.
Sure. He greets you with the standard greeting of a hug and the kiss on the cheeks, and he seems very happy to see all of you, as he always is.
I will hand over my gift to him. Say, this humble gift I brought to you, patron Alexander.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
For your invitation.
I appreciate it. Here, have you met? Of course, you've met Julia Antasia, and a couple members of her faction are with her. And he starts introducing everybody who's there to the playwright and the actor and the musician who's going to be there helping. Basically, that seems to be all he wants to talk about.
Abner politely greets all of them, but she does not touches any of them.
Hat's mostly going with, yeah. Hat's mostly going with the flow right now. Just saying greetings to and so forth.
Yeah, I will also go and pay my respects to Julia Anastasia because, well, she's went through.
Okay. Yeah, she's got that cold look on her face, severe expression. And
I will.
she's like, yes. My fellow Vendrew, thank you for approaching me.
I wanted to pay my respects to you as I saw you in the party. And it's pretty much like every introduction thing he does, and then it says, have a good night.
She basically does the same
then-
thing, keeps it pleasant, polite, and short.
Yeah. And then I will just join the party, I guess. Join the flow.
Okay.
Nicodemus comes in. He expresses his deepest gratitude to the patron for inviting them over. Good evening, patron Alexander. I'm extremely pleased to have to accept your invitation to this fine stimulus of art. I expect nothing else than excellence from this venue. It seems I can tell by decorations and preparations alone that it's going to be exquisite.
Oh, well, I guess we'll see about that. I haven't seen the play yet, but I am looking forward to your opinion. This is based on a Greek play called The Knights. It's actually quite classic in Athens. It's a comedy, and stop me if you've heard this before. I mean, you probably have. The playwright who wrote it basically wrote it as a revenge play against a critic of his.
Oh, this sounds most exhilarating. The original play alone has a lot of subtle intricacies to it. I wonder how they intend to play it in this approach, especially that it's supposed to have more Roman tones into it.
Well,
Well,
especially
I
considering that
I
it was
guess
meant to satirize the voting process and one man in particular. So we'll see how that translates over.
Oh yes, I cannot wait. For certain. Um, that's quite a lot of guests. I see. I expect to be a lot of different opinions on the matter.
Oh, to be perfectly honest, just between you, me, the walls, and everyone listening in with Obfuscate, I don't really care what they have to think about it. I just want to have a good time.
Really, I would wager that an opinion on any matter can give a lot about the person who states it.
Of course it can. Doesn't mean I care. I hope they have a good time. I hope they enjoy it. If they don't enjoy it, well, maybe they need to lighten up a little bit.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, wow, what's life or life without a bit of passion? Tossed into the mix. We don't really need to concern ourselves with bloody backstabbing politics every moment of our existence.
I know, right? Some people just are obsessed with that kind of stuff, man. That's all they care about is power this, and I'm gonna get one over on you here, and I'm gonna do this and that, and it gets so boring after a while. So
We
boring.
forget who we are and from where we become, and we get consumed by those machinations. And like you said, dear patron, it's just it. They cannot get out of it, and just they're wasting their existences on this.
That's right, exactly. That's why I invited Julia. She understands. Even though she still, pursues I have to be powerful and I have to be strong and all that, but she gets it. Have you introduced yourself to her two clients over there with the headband and the eye scar, and they've brought somebody along too. And he points out some guy who's just kind of standing in the corner and he looks lost. That poor guy over there, we're going to have to erase his memory after tonight, I can tell.
That's sad, actually. I mean, is there a way to actually remove some of it? I mean, if the play is good, it's worthy, and it's worthy experience to remember.
Well, I agree, but they're the ones who brought a mortal to this gathering, so it's on them. But I'll make sure it gets done. There's no pity.
Maybe it's a trusted one. Well, yeah, it's the silence of the blood is a blessing and a curse.
Speaking of, make sure that none of your counterparts spill that to the actors and everybody else, because those are all still mortals too. Be careful there.
Right.
I mean, they should know better already. They should, but you never can tell.
We've been through a lot. Here, this and that. The lessons provided by many occasions and many failures, which it's only natural that we all go through a learning process. It's only a human thing, which we are irresistibly bound to still. I believe my my colleagues, my friends, will keep their composure intact and will not breach any of our sacred traditions.
Well, let's hope so.
Oh, by and since the play is about to start, I really need to pay my respects to the enchanting Julia Anastasia. So, by your leave,
I don't know. By all
patron
means,
Alexander.
go and have fun. Go forth.
So Nicodemus nods. It's not a bow; it's a nod. He departs the presence and saunters over to Julia Anastasia with the intention of, in fact, have a closer look at the two clients she has by her side.
Right? Yeah. Well,
The
they're not right
headband
next to her
is like,
physically, but they're here. And Julia is talking to a couple of people. She's usually got a crowd around her. Tonight's no exception.
Nicodemus
They're
waits
discussing the
patiently
play, as
in.
is pretty much everybody else.
So he positions himself in a way that radiates this interest in sparing a few words of courtesy with her. And at the same time, he looks with kind of like respectful interest towards the clients of hers as well, more like a polite, polite acknowledgement of their presence.
Yep. She actually has several clients. She seems to be more popular and more in terms of clients. She has more than Alexander. Several of them are discussing the play, and when it becomes clear that you would like to join in their conversation, they make room. They physically part a little bit and allow you to join them.
Good evening to all of you. I cannot help to see that you're already engaged in the main topic of the evening. I have to say that being very intimately acquainted with the original, I am extremely curious how they wish to portray the revenge aspects of the play. It must be the subtle tones that accompany some of the emotional dependencies that are more prevalent to Roman cultures are maybe they may be very tricky to insert there.
Well, we were actually wondering the same thing, talking about the how they're going to showcase the disdain for the one individual, given that they're not going to know the history. Is he going to transfer it to another person? Or is he going to attempt to place it in some sort of historical context? What do you think of the genres of old comedy versus new comedy? Old comedy being mostly satirizing popular cultures and customs, especially in today's fragile climate. A play that goes against voting rights and the way of tradition may not be well received.
My bet is that they are going to exemplify the subtlety aspect and the various shades most likely to be portrayed in the shadows, like in an afterthought, like to give the impression that you're watching something and then the afterthought occurs to you just after the scene is played. Um, that's in my opinion the right way to do it. To allege to something, to leave it vaguely in the air, while the emotional impact is somewhere near between.
Right. So you continue on in that vein, talking about what could happen, what might happen, what has happened in the past, and so on and so forth. Until you get to the topic you really wanted to talk about, which is what?
Which is pretty much nothing.
Okay.
Nicodemus just wished to whisper a few words of no importance, say his hello, and basically have a good time.
Excellent.
He was more interested in observing the various dynamics, like for instance, how did Julia Anastasia react to her? Did she genuinely have some enjoyable conversation that put her away from the scheming politics for a moment? Or is she really the cold-hearted bitch that she plays all the time?
She seemed to be quite interested in the play, talking about anything talking about feelings and keeping people in touch with anger, love, affection, even the types of love for the city, the love of a brother, the love of family, the love of lovers. The discussion is free ranging and it involves all of these themes and concepts. And she seems to be an incredibly good conversationalist, and she keeps it going, talking about these topics without dominating, without even interjecting her opinion. Just being able to draw yours out so that you enjoy giving it without anybody telling you you're wrong.
So essentially, this is like a genuine throwback to humanity.
Yes.
Without
this is a genuine somebody who's genuinely attempting to be excited and involved about humanity without cynicism.
And the people that we're talking with, they're her clients, which are. Do they seem to share this sentiment?
They do. Some people get it more than others, which is to be expected. The two Salubri mostly talk to each other. They're not talking as part of the group. They're kind of off to themselves. But everyone else is pretty much on humanity or something very close. Julia actually seems to have a rather high level for her age and power status.
Does it strike us something really, really hard to reconcile with one another?
I mean, she plays politics in the Eternal Senate with people who believe that holding off the beast requires a maximum amount of personal power. And she survives and even thrives. So yeah, she's a cold-hearted bitch when she has to be. But these moments of tenderness and just being open, they allow her to express just the camaraderie that is needed to be a human, to not be isolated. So their clients and patron, they're not quite friends, but this is in contrast to Artemis, who kept all of her people like assets, like books in a ledger to balance.
Well, I suppose Nicodemus takes note of all the subtle hints he's been given. In a way, he strives to make a pleasant conversationalist, gladly divulging on the various topics of emotional impact and what it means on the stage. But yeah, it's mostly small talk without ulterior motive. Even if he had one, he'd feel that it's probably this is one of those precious moments of vampire kinship that needs to be treasured, so he does not wish to implore on anything outside of that scope. So any business, it just stays away from this night.
Yeah. All right. Hatshepsut, what about you? What are you doing?
Her focus is on. She's trying to focus on seeing how, at least at first, seeing how the actors seem to feel.
Well, the
What's
actors
the mood?
kind of kept off to themselves because they're not in on this, obviously.
Yeah. But from what she can glimpse, what does the mood of the room seem to be for them?
Great. They're getting paid very well to do this. That you hear them talking about the party they're going to go to afterwards and how they're going to spend, the rich idiots who paid for this, God bless their souls for financing them. But man, they paid a lot of money to get them in here and do this tonight. So they're going to give the best performance they can. So they're excited about it. They're happy about they got paid in advance, no less. And they're just excited to be doing what they love to do.
Right. And she's going to make sure that when it's time to sit down and so forth, she has a seat that's close to an exit if necessary, because I have a bad feeling right now.
All right. And Labiena, how about yourself?
Well, obviously, Labiana walks in and she's trying to kind of prevent the look of the fact that she doesn't really want to be there. Like, she's trying to prevent people from actually seeing that as much as possible. I think the first thing she does is she just briefly scans the room to see if there may be anyone that she may recognize of interest. Perhaps go and have a chat with. If not, she'll just find a seat somewhere and sit quietly.
What do you consider to be of interest?
Well, a fellow Cappadocian or
Alas, there is no fellow Cappadocian here.
someone. Yeah, I was going to say, otherwise, anyone else that she may have had prior dealings with on a friendly basis. I'll highlight that.
Well, everyone's pretty friendly, but surprisingly, among the path of the people on the road of humanity, there's not very many people that you've dealt with. Of course, Alexander's Childa is here, the one that directed you to him. Gaius, I believe his name is.
Okay.
So, I mean, there are friendly
Yeah.
faces. So you're not just sitting off alone by yourself reading a book and being like, man, why am I here? This is awful.
But ultimately, that's generally what Labiena does. Like, she's there to support the coterie, if anything, and her patron.
Him and his children, Gaius Marcellus. And Gaius Marcellus,
Yeah.
as you'll recall, was embraced in Carthage.
Indeed.
Right. So, right before the play begins, a few minutes, Alexander gathers all of you, sits you down in a private area, and he says, just wants to know, okay, I just want to know, before we, get too busy, what have you guys been up to, what you might need help with, and I want to know if you ever got your memoirs written about Carthage and sent off to Shalmouth.
Please, Chris. The last thing you said.
So that Alexander gathers all of you together right before the play starts and says, before we get too busy, I want to know what are your plans for the short term, what you've been up to, what are you doing, what do you need help with, and I want to know if you have written your memoirs about Carthage and sent them to Shalmuth in Athens.
On the memoirs thing, out of character, I think we've done that.
I think we will done that.
Oh,
Yeah, I think so too.
was gonna say-
That it was
was-
settled, or maybe it was just like melted in the
I
in the
think
weeks after.
I think the correct question will be more like, do you have any reason to not send your writings to Shalmet, I guess, and this just does not have any reason to not send it, so he would done it.
Yeah, same for Nicodemus. I mean, Nicodemus would probably be quite zealous to go to deliver the full story, minus the embarrassing parts.
Yeah,
But
history is
so
written by
he
the
may
victors.
actually take some extra time to make it. So I don't know if the time frame is right. Then he'd probably be like near verge of completion or something.
History's
So,
written
yeah,
by the
I-
victors, so you can make us say whatever you want to, really.
So yeah, Nicodemus perks up at this question. But
And-
I see Luke wants to say something. Go ahead.
I'm just gonna make a joke of, and then I personally, all on my own, bitch slapped Moloch down.
Yeah.
I personally carried
Nic-
Camilla out.
And and Arakel threw herself at me.
So upon this question, Nicodemus makes a smirk and, oh, it's all good. I'm not planning to blackmail or frame anyone, if that's your asking, in the blood hunt. As for the memoirs, I'm nearing completion. It's an extensive, elaborate, and I wish to be as accurate as possible to appease our dear friend from Athens.
I do have actually something I might need a little help with, patron. You might have heard that I'm trying to help to the newcomers to Rome, the kindreds. Yeah, so I don't say that out loud. There are humans here. I'm helping individuals new to the city, trying to get them understand the dynamics of the city, the rules and the culture of our society. And I would actually like to ask you if there is a particular youth venture you might have noticed that has arrived to Rome recently, a young an adult fledgling or a young neonate, perhaps.
Oh,
Someone
I
who
don't concern
might be
myself
of
with
your
that
interest.
stuff. If they want my help, they can come to me. Otherwise, I have more than enough to keep me busy.
I understand. I just wanted to ask to you because there's not really anything to lose with asking. But yeah, this is understandable. Someone of your stature will have much more important things to deal with. My short-term goals, I honestly think a lot about the social tension building up in the politics, and I fear that we might be marching towards a destination that might be trouble in close time. So my short-term goals is trying to find a way to protect our country when the tense situation boils up and finally explodes.
Well, how very noble of you. You keep doing that. How about the rest of you? Anything that I need to be concerned about as your patron?
Well, I myself, personally, my memoirs, firstly, I managed to get those done with a relatively decent degree of accuracy, as best as I could. And those have been sent off, and I do believe that, out of character, what was the Kindra's name again that we were sending them to?
Shalmuth.
Shalmath.
Shalmuth, that's right. I do believe Shalmuth will find them quite adequate. As for what I've been up to, let's just say that I'm just doing my usual ongoing studies. And nothing at this point in time that I will need any kind of assistance with. However, if anything does change, I will be certain to let you know.
Wonderful. I'm very glad to hear it. How about the rest of you? Who's next?
Um,
You go ahead.
well, I'm not sure if it. Well, I'm not sure if it's really a big enough a matter for you to focus too much on, but recently I've been trying to establish, work my way into a small business. Get a little more income to be able to whether to give out to those that I care for, or just to set my own thing, keep setting my own things going. Establishing a foothold with a small beer making business. It may not be something that you necessarily wish to put much in, but of course, any help would be greatly appreciated.
Oh, well, if you just need money, just come let me know how much you need. I'll be willing to pitch in for you. That's what we do. Um, I assume probably the biggest thing you're going to need is a building for it. So once you've got everything else handled, let me know.
That is greatly appreciated. Thank you, patron. Alwina?
My latest projects has been trying to do some learning on one of a code that has approaches. The Code of the Great Mother. Have you heard of it?
Yes, I have.
They had recently approaches, and I have been trying to learn more about them.
Go
Little
on.
success so far, I'm afraid.
Mm-hmm.
But oh, you go ahead.
Yes, if you mention that, I suppose there's one thing that has been of keen interest to me at least, that might be worrying about them, because obviously there are some kindred involved in the whole affair. There it was some of the kindred involved in it that approached us, but that's usually in such cases influencing immortals. We saw a case of what seemed to be a mortal calling the shots for a kindred. I found that very interesting.
He looks back at all the.
That is correct. The leader of the cult, at least one of the superiors, seemed to be a female human, and she claimed to be claimed authority over the vampire that approaches.
Well, as you know, there are those who are aware of us, as we are aware of them. The Princeps has long maintained a tenuous peace with the cult of Mercury. And recently, thanks to the efforts of your sire, Almina, we were able to broker a peace agreement with the werewolves. So, and he looks and he's like, "Oh, I see some of you didn't know that. Yes, her punishment was part of the effort to tone down the violence and tensions between our groups in the city. By making sure that we are not encroaching on each other's territories, we have been able to minimize the amount of casualties amongst our established citizenry, as it were. Of course, those newbies who venture into territory not controlled by us, well, if they suffer the fate of death, then so be it. We would not deny them the ability to defend their territory, just as they do not deny us the ability to defend ourselves. But we have made efforts to go out of the way not to antagonize each other. So it's not
Well-
unknown that certain mortals of power will be aware of us. Now, that being said, the cult of the Great Mother is how Kybele got her hooks into Artemis. I don't know if you knew that.
No, it did not.
That is why it is one of the two regulated religions, or very few regulated religions here in Rome. It was to curb her power.
Certainly
Ha-
does not surprise me.
Hat. Whereas before, Hat was sort of, engaged with the conversation, but, sort of like, just a regular conversation. You're like, your attention's there, but it's not like completely fixed. When that last bit's mentioned, she just like instantly isn't focuses entirely. Indeed.
So,
Is
there are
is she
those who would give a great deal to know the secret workings of this cult. A very great deal. I would not put you or encourage you to go into harm's way to do this. But if you feel that you can, there are those who would give you a large number of favors for this information.
Just in case, is there someone you know who is being knowledgeable about this cult?
I don't know anyone who's knowledgeable about it. That's the problem. They are incredibly
Surely there were
secretive.
but surely there were those who at least attempted to gain information and collected scraps, anything.
Yes, and after Carthage was annihilated, they disappeared with Kybele. What was left were the mortals, and the mortals seemed somewhat resistant to any infiltration. And in the aftermath of Carthage, to be honest, with all of the opportunities opening up of easier pickings, why go for the fruit high on the tree when you can pick the stuff from the ground?
this is? I'm glad that we didn't join up with them before we learned all this. This is something to think about indeed.
Now, I will say, nobody has seen or heard of Kybele returning to her cult. The prevailing opinion amongst the elders is that she has abandoned it to its own devices.
Perhaps not entirely. it could potentially explain the unusual leadership, shall we say.
We don't think so.
But
We
that
think
could just be
it's
conjecture.
yes. We think it's pretty much a charismatic mortal, or possibly a ghoul who is being held up as a figurehead. But we are confident that Kybiel and her ilk, her blood, are nowhere to be found now in Rome.
But maybe her this ghoul that has been left behind might know where she might be found,
I didn't
and
say
that
a
would be
ghoul was left behind. I said it's a ghoul, possibly.
and but the point is that this whatever it is might know more about her location, and that would be something that would be valuable information to many in Rome.
You d- you don't always need to have an active hand in a cult to ensure it runs to your design. If you're skilled enough, you can set it up like out of character. I'm tempted to use like clockwork, but obviously that would be anachronistic.
No, they have
You can
clocks.
just oh yeah, but like
They have
uh,
water clocks and stuff. Yes.
yeah, but not so much like all the like massive amounts of gears and that kind of thing.
Reliable in the changing of the seasons.
There you go. Nice one.
Are sundials a thing yet?
Yes, they are.
But yeah, someone skilled enough can set everything up to go along with the same regularity of the changing of the seasons. She may indeed have just put everything in place for her cult and then left it without pondering a second thought.
But they've only resurfaced recently. Isn't it curious that it arrives at the precipice of a great conflict?
No,
I
because they've
mean,
been
we
here.
we see the
They just never attempted to make a name for themselves. They've remained since the Second War. They have conducted their rituals since the Second War. They have recruited, but that they're reaching out may mean they're feeling more confident. As I've said, if the elders are confident that they're not a threat, however, if you would like to earn the favor of many historical researchers and those who would use any scrap of possible information to track down Kybiel and her blood, then by all means, involve yourself.
Yes, we can discuss it another night in a more private circumstances, as a good way. I think this is neither the time or place for it.
But we felt that the minimal danger they represent was not worth the effort to investigate or involve ourselves with. So, if you feel that it is worth the effort, then you are free to do so.
Indeed. Well, enough of this. Enough of this business talk. We need to. I think unless anyone else has anything else, other business to talk about, we should probably try to relax a bit more.
we are here for the play.
Good. Well, let's go downstairs.
Indeed. Let's get this show over and done with.
Is we are for the play while his son gets, quieter and quieter as he leaves the party.
All right. He takes you downstairs. The play begins. It's so-so, kind of middle of the road. Nicodemus, you recognize the themes and how he drew on this old play from Athens. It's a classic. Like I said, it's okay.
So,
You've seen better.
if the play is substandard, then Nicodemus would perceive it In a way, how could you improve this to make it better? How to draw on the various subtones and how to convert it to make something better, to make something more expressionate, to identify the causes of why is it only so-so and not uh, great.
Because the man who has, you would say that the person who has converted it did not have a solid grasp of the full themes of the play, and in translating it to Roman sensibilities, he attempted to convert and his incomplete understanding, and that's why it failed, because he was not able to draw the appropriate parallels between Roman and Greek understandings.
And the person who is the author of this play was he introduced to us? Is it like the author's
Yes, this is
authoristic?
the adaptation of the Knights as written by this playwright, performers here, here, and here. Here's the musicians. Hope everyone enjoys the play, and then the play gets done.
Okay, how does it seem like most people react to it? Is it like just cordially,
I would say the
okayish upload?
uncultured audience enjoyed it. But the themes again are, and it's an attack on the traditions of voting and democracy and how it can be abused. And so it was seen as kind of a little insensitive at the moment to debut this play. So, but everyone, it's just as far as entertainment value goes, they were okay with it. They're not like throwing flowers and giving standing ovations.
Okay, so they haven't specifically. Okay, it isn't what I feared was going to happen, where they decide to lampoon some really big deal that was going to cause just absolute chaos.
Right. So as you are considering this, discussing it, you're talking about it, you feel the building shake. It rumbles.
Oh
Oh,
boy.
Seats begin to rock.
where
The building begins to move, and the stage begins to sink into the ground as the sinkhole opens up. It's an earthquake. Rome experiences these all the time. The earthquake begins to sink the building. Part of the wall crumbles. People begin to scream as they are getting buried under the rubble. You look around. The shaking stops. And you see there's a bunch of people, the actors that had come out into the crowd. Some of them are pinned by rubble. People are screaming for help. There's dust in the air. It's chaos. Laviena,
Oof.
you look around. You see a young woman and the androgynous person leap from the debris and begin digging a person out. And they take these people around the corner where nobody can see. Do you follow them?
I don't know if she can immediately spot somewhere she might be able to kind of stand nearby,
Sure. Yes. Absolutely.
unimpeded. Well, not.
You run over. You peer over the corner, and you see the person with the band around their head, the androgynous one, rips the band off and lets her long hair down. It's another female. And they start, instead of, one of them lays hands and begins to put these people to sleep. And the one who took the band off takes their knife, pulls a knife out, and jabs it straight into their third eye. Straight in. Whack! And twists it. And this obviously hurts them. It hurts them bad. And then pulls the knife blade out, and blood and stuff come running out of the eye. And as it does, light comes out of the eye and bathes these people in a healing light, and you can see their broken bones straightening out and healing.
Ooh.
So they're not kidnapping people.
No, they're not kidnapping anybody.
They're healing them.
Can Decius get out and try to help Alexander through this?
Yeah, so you can jump down. Alexander shrugs the debris off. He's fine.
I'm still going to, try to help him.
I'm not going to be trying to help the mortals that were brought along by Julia and her clients, the ones that would have to need their minds wiped. She's likely will be sitting then, because the idea of having mortals that know about vampires and all is something that's likely very exotic to her, so something that attracts her attention. She will stay next to them.
Yeah, so people are begin dragging these people, helping uncover these people, and get them out, and they're trying to drag them up and out of the basement.
I'll try to give a little help, but what I want to focus on is, can I just looking around and consider replaying the event in my head? Does this really seem entirely natural? Obviously, you said earthquakes do happen in Rome, but
it seems 100% natural.
Okay. Well, then I'll focus on just I'll just try and help in what ways I can right now.
Nicodemus doesn't care where he's at or who he needs to impress. As soon as the earthquake concludes and he likely finds himself under the rubble, he pours what kind of blood empowerment he can into his limbs to grant him extra strength, and he crawls himself from under it and immediately starts looking for those mortals who cannot help themselves.
Nicodemus,
He proceeds to...
you see somebody, looks like a young teenager, 14 maybe, 15, still has the bag around his neck that signifies he's not an adult yet. And he's pulling, throwing brick and stuff off, and he's like, and he's calling out somebody to desperately, please help me, help my mother.
Nicodemus rushes in, helps him out. He's not buried, but his mother is, right?
Yes.
Okay, so Nicodemus rushes to the spots. He shows up and here, let me help you. Dig from this side. I'll get from this, and he obviously goes for the rougher ones. At the back of his head, he somehow has the ability, his semblance to not show off too much of his strength, but it kind of probably gets melded into his willingness to help.
Right.
He digs deep for the woman.
This kid, he's crying. There's something about his nature that just immediately attracts your attention. He just seems like he doesn't want not only his mother, but you notice when he's pulling debris and stuff, he's not just throwing it willy-nilly like a lot of people. As you guys are helping, you're having to dodge bricks that people are just throwing over their shoulder. Like nobody cares. Like there's no coordination. And this kid is setting it aside. He's trying to, be considerate and helpful. He gets his mother out with Nicodemus's help, and begins to drag her out of the basement.
So, Nicodemus points to a spot where to gather the people that are wounded. He takes a look at the mother, and if there's any kind of immediate attention that she needs, he provides it. Any kinds of meds for the pain, he has his herbs to assist. Uh,
Yeah.
so
He thanks you, like genuinely thanks you. And as you're looking at this kid, you realize that he reminds you of somebody from your past. Maybe there's something about his nature that's just like this kid didn't just care because he was his mother. He cared about other people.
I was gonna say, like, does anything else kid immediately aside from obviously, rising to the occasion,
Nope, looks like a kid.
Nicodemus is obviously enthralled by this realization that he has too much work on his hands. He genuinely wants to help those people, and politics and vampirism and shit like that be damned. He goes to dig for other people, those bystanders that are like confused with what to do. He points to go help there, like help them keep consciousness and don't let them sleep and stuff like that. Like Ushin, go, don't stand here, go help. And he digs for the people that are still buried underneath.
So you guys spend a couple of hours doing this. Eventually, you pull yourself. Everybody pulls themselves out. The casualties are surprisingly light, just some injuries. But you get out up on the street, and the whole area was affected by this earthquake. And people are running around screaming, and you hear somebody say, somebody starts shouting down the street, and it gets picked up by other people. The gods have punished us for the death of Drusius. Drusius' death is punished by the gods. And word is already beginning to spread through the city that the tribune, Marcus Livius Drusus, was just murdered, and this earthquake is now punishment for it.
interesting.
Presuming everyone would have heard about that, obviously. Supposed to assassinate. Oh! Wait, the one we took the plays from?
The
should
one
say
he
back
asked you guys
No.
to kill.
No, he asked, but we said we decided we won't do it.
Yeah.
I mean, if it wasn't us, someone else was going to do it, and here's the result.
My conscience is clear.
I mean, you kind of killed another person, but yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I may have helped set a domino rolling there, but Not-
You might have just set the parasite in the right mind, and then butterfly effect, but you're fine. You're just a masochist. And sadist, I guess.
regardless. God, that's a lot.
I suppose Labiana has a fleeting thought that maybe this pater may have had something to do with this.
Decius will look at Alexander and ask if he has any directions, like if he has any orders to give to him or anything, or he's like, I don't know, because he's our patron, so he might actually.
He just said, it's like, you better go make sure your stuff is okay.
With his permission, I will indeed leave this place.
Yeah, actually. Oh shit,
my...
we should.
Yeah, we better.
Yeah, we need to check our communal haven. Shit.
We need to
I
check
will,
the
I will
cult
go to
haven.
my haven, my important places, and try to check it out. Yeah. I will take Titus and Lucius with me.
Yes, your havens have suffered some minor damage, but fortunately, you haven't dug out most of the foundations and removed a lot of the supports to make room for a stage. Yeah. Turns out unauthorized construction has consequences.
Oof.
So Alexander was stupid. Ah, man, that must suck.
Did any of the people get injured?
Bumps and bruises.
Okay, nothing serious though.
What about our personal
Just
domains and
shaken.
places?
Like I said, minor damage, nothing that you guys haven't experienced and
okay.
repaired before.
Okay.
But you
See
know,
what you mean.
when you dig out your whole basement and remove supporting arches and, you know, apply heat to certain load-bearing walls, and then there's an earthquake, yeah, bad things start to happen.
Yeah, let's not mention it to him.
No.
Mayhap he realizes on his own.
I mean, none of you guys are
yeah.
construction and demolition experts anyway, so you characters might even not even realize that. Just be like, oh, we got lucky, yay! But you know, out of character,
Yeah.
that's like half his fault.
His seneschal probably should have told him, you know, that maybe not. Maybe he shouldn't do that. But I mean, his seneschal probably did not have enough balls to say that.
But it's
Unless he did, and Alexander chose not to listen.
not like there's a big loss in any case.
Okay, guys.
Found understand the guy's loaded.
You know. So here's what I want to mention. We were in the party. Earthquake happened. We saw what was the casualty there. Then we checked our own stuff and saw the casualty there. Should we check the casualty our enemies suffered from this earthquake?
Like which enemies?
I have no idea. If you have a bunch of enemies, you choose.
I not think we have any enemies actually.
I guess not in Rome right now. Most of our enemies is outside Rome.
Man, I'm not looking for the bad eye just to see if their house hasn't collapsed.
Yeah, it's like, hey, this dude, you know, what was this? There was this winter you guys hated. Maybe his domain got wrecked. You might.
Oh, I hope so. I hope so. Democritus.
Yeah, that dude. And then, is there anyone else really in the room that you guys kind of have a fade with? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
I think the kitty got caught in the earthquake. Oh no!
No, not the kitty.
It's a magical kitten. Okay.
All right, so that's enough of that. You guys weather through it. Begin getting the construction going to do the minor repairs that you need, and so on and so forth. But news is all over Rome. Livius Drusus has been assassinated. He was going to propose, again, full citizenship for Italia. There are certain geographic restrictions to that, but that's not relevant to this discussion. Messengers have already gone out to certain tribes. There is talk in the streets of open revolution. The daily and nightly protests are growing worse and worse.
Oh boy.
Open revolution in favor or against the proposal?
Both.
Yes.
Rome divided.
Yeah. Okay. I think this. I mean, I think you can't say if this is a meta thing, Chris, but I think this is with all the worries he had about the civil war and thing. I think this would be an unsettling thing for him. And I think he would encourage the country members to try to get their shit protected or prepared. You know, you might enter some dire circumstances.
Oh yeah, I would.
Yeah.
I would be very scared right now.
Yeah.
So this is pretty much warning the whole country and telling them to, you know, go to your connections, your allies, try to get as much security as you can,
Yeah.
insurances,
Hmm.
I will inform my, well, they are not my clients yet because I did not spend the experience points, but I will inform my future clients the possible situation upcoming, and I will tell them to, be low profile, try to not get in any much trouble, and try to definitely stay away from the large gatherings of mortals and stuff like that. Essentially tell them to, be prepared, be defensive, not active.
Right. Albina, how goes your
Yes.
phone attempts on the Asimite? Let's return to that.
Yeah, she's going to make a copy of the seal that she got at the wax.
Okay. You're probably gonna have to take that to somebody to do.
A professional, yes.
So let's do. Um, let's do a intelligence and commerce roll to get somebody to do that for you, and you're going to have to pay a lot to keep it quiet because this is illegal as fuck. Unethical. It's very unethical.
Intelligence and commerce, right?
Yes. This is finding somebody who can do it.
Can he add like allies or contacts to this?
All right. Well, intelligence and commerce didn't work out. So you return back to your haven. You start thinking about what else to do. And let's roll a wits and legerdemain. And if you would like to tap an ally to get help, you can do so.
Do you have any allies?
We lost Luke. He's back.
That's been happening off and on
So-
all night.
Yeah, it's been happening for me as well. I'm just dropping randomly from the voice.
All right. Well, that is a significantly better roll.
Must be a Discord thing.
Yeah, you recall a certain craftsman who could do this for you. They are in the area that is quite dangerous at night. So if you're going to go, you're going to want to take protection with you.
Oh,
Going to hire a few bodyguards for the night.
All right. To find me some reliable ones who won't take your money and abandon you. Let's do charisma and leadership, and your enchanting voice supplies.
And your appearance.
Nice.
Nice, jeez. Oh, it's difficult for. Okay, that makes
All
sense.
right. Yeah, you pick up a couple of guys who are sober enough that they can understand and look pretty strong, and they do not. They got a good, nice look in their eye. You got a good feeling about them. So you begin your walk into the deep, dark parts of this forum. There's a ton of homeless people. There is people begging in the street. There's people, literally people dead, just starved to death. People that have been beaten to death. It's not good. Not good. Roll me a D100 and you want to get over 30.
Oh man. Welcome to the club.
Music. Oh, was that a failure? Not quite.
That was a 22.
22. Okay. Well, despite your bodyguards with you, your 4 guys walking along, these guys step out of the shadow, about 7 or 8 of them, and they look skinny, starving, hungry. And they're like, hey there. What you doing? I see you've got a little something for us. Yeah, hand it over, we'll let you go. Hand it all over. They
looks
sound
at
like
it.
they sound like foreigners, like hungry foreigners. These are people that are not natives. Yeah.
Looks at the starving bodies.
Yeah, they're skinny, hungry, a little bit starving, and they're desperate enough to do this. To take on 5 people.
So there are other bodies around them, the ones that have been beaten to death, the ones that have starved to death. She then looks back to them, and she's going to just dominate on one of them, going to say, if you're hungry, then eat that body.
Wow! Oh my fucking god! Roll it. Hell, let's do it.
Wait, what was the command? What was the command?
She told him to eat a body. Yes, let's roll. Let's roll that because that is outstandingly evil. I love it.
Wouldn't that be like against the nature of a human?
Not necessarily.
Especially given how
Depends on.
he is.
It depends on difficulty, I guess. Yeah.
I said depends on how desperate they are.
Only one success.
As well.
What did you roll it at? He's got a willpower a lot less than 6. I see 1, 2, 3,
Manipulation.
1.
I am manipulation leadership.
All right, I see 3 successes there, because
3.
minimum difficulty is 3, so I see 3 successes there. We gotta roll his willpower. All right. He turns around and he drops to his knees and he grabs an arm and he can see he's fighting it, but he's desperate and he's hungry and he can't get the voice out of his head as Albina literally overwhelmed him with the power of her vampiric voice and her rage and that creature that's deep within her that she just brings forth and overwhelms his mind mentally. And she tells him, eat that body. And he fights it, and he takes a big honking chunk out of its forearm, just and he's like jerking at it and trying to like rip it apart like you would like you'd see an animal do with his neck, and he's trying to jerk at it and pull a chunk of flesh off. And you see a couple of his counterparts, they start retching like, oh god, oh! And that's when your 4 guards kick in and they grab clubs from underneath their cloaks and they lay into these guys, just whack, 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 just beating the holy hell out of them, and they scatter.
And if that one guy lived, then there's a non-zero chance of him having a disease now.
Yes.
So
Yes, Albina, I would like you to roll your conviction.
Ooh.
No, this is a good thing. You want to succeed. Conviction at diff 6, please. All right. You gain an experience point towards your conviction that you can use to raise your conviction. That was the metaphorical dark, and she let that come forth with no hesitation whatsoever. That was awesome. And apparently... There, now it's playing. Yeah, that was awesome. I loved it. All right, you head in. You reach the vendor, who is... you go through the usual oh, I don't know anything about that. Why would I know how to do something like that? And you go back and forth like that for a bit, and they fess up. Yeah, I can make that for you. Um, but it being that it's so illegal and immoral, it's gonna cost you a gold piece. What's your resources rating, Albina?
Currently, it is at 3.
At 3? Yeah, you can afford this.
She pays for it, making it very clear that she wants a complete discretion.
Well, yeah, of course, the discretion. If word got out that I could do this kind of thing, you know, I'd be probably crucified the next day.
She looks pleased and gives him a nod of understanding that they both are clear on this. They both want the discretion. Then she's going to ask when she should come to pick it up.
2 nights.
Understood.
Yeah, so he has to cast the outline and plaster, and then he's got to carve it. It'll take him some time to carve it all, and it could take him a couple of days. So.
So yeah, having that done, she heads back.
All right. Anybody else got anything they need to take care of, plan-wise?
Not that I can think of right now.
Well, nothing other than. No, I know I'm down at least 2 bloods, so. Possibly more.
Yeah, I'm going to hunt.
Which.
Oh yeah, let's look at hunting.
Okay. All right.
I will tell. I actually asked you if I could have hunted before the party, but I didn't get a response. I don't know. Like the night before the
it's
party.
going to be the same before and after.
Okay.
All right. Those of you guys who want to hunt, go ahead and make your hunting roll.
Okay.
Wow.
Botch.
At least it's not a
or awesome?
bodge.
Not a botch, thank
Not a
God.
bodge. Yeah, there's at least
Alright.
110 in there.
That's just it. Do you feel like you want high or low?
I... Fuck.
All right.
Wait. Oh, I was gonna say that wasn't me. I thought that was
That's
me
just
for a
it.
second there.
You go to a party, and you are doing your normal shtick, and you slowly come to realize that nobody's returning your signals, and the more time you spend there, the more you're beginning to realize that this is a party of foreigners, poor foreigners, and you catch a glimpse out of the corner of your eye of somebody's staring at you. They've been watching you all night and essentially warning people off.
I take a look at this person. What do they look like? Anything unusual?
They look like any of the other foreigners. However, your curiosity has now been roused. And you are going to have to speak to him and confront him about interfering with you unless you succeed on your roll to suppress your curiosity.
For now, I'm actually gonna go with it.
All right.
Just take a look around, walk up, try to make sure that there's no one immediately within earshot. So, do you have some sort of problem with me?
Yeah, I do.
Care to detail it?
you're Roman, and you don't belong here. In fact, we're gonna teach you a lesson.
Hans sort of like looks down at himself, looks around. I know that I've taken some time to integrate, but seriously now.
Two people, you feel them an instant before they grab you. And they grab you from behind, like they slip their arm on either side of yours, and they kind of pick you up.
Is this currently
You're
what's
going to go into
inside?
combat unless you find a way out of this.
Ooh. First off, a quick question: is this like this pie? Is it like in an enclosed building?
Yeah.
Okay. Potential for a risk here, but you know what? I think I'm going to go with it. I'm going to spend. God, this is so dumb. I'm going to spend the blood and activate Serpentis 3, not suppressing not hiding the supernatural force of it. I am going to bear my supernatural nature and slip from their grip and God, this is so dumb. And I'm going to claw one of them. Or no, not claw, bite one of them.
Alright, so your action is going to be to slip out of their grasp, first off.
Yeah.
Alright. You activate the power, and suddenly it's like holding on to a. Holding on to you is like trying to hold on to a solid packed balloon covered in grease. They just squeeze and you just slip right out. Thunk! And they're left holding on to your clothes. You hit the ground, naked from the waist up. Sexy D&D snake woman here. Covered in scales. The golden light, the few candles glittering off of you. Gold and green and brown. So yeah, you drop down, you drop to your butt and your back, and you start scooting away like a snake. And they turn around and they hear him go, "What the hell? What the hell?" And in the instant of confusion as you make some space, you hear, "Don't just fucking stand there, get her! Stop her!" And people throw and they begin looking for you in the dark, and they spot you, and now we're in combat. So we're going to be rolling some initiative here.
Hold on a second.
All right. The guy with initiative 17 is the main guy. He pulls a weapon out of his belt, and you are unsurprised to see that it is a wooden stake. It's not like a carved stake, though. It's like somebody went to a chair and kicked the leg of the chair off and is using the sharp, pointy end of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's not like somebody's put this thing on a lathe machine and made a stake. You know what I mean? The other two guys draw belt knives.
Okay.
And so the first guy with the belt knife at the initiative 14 leaps, and he attempts to use his knife to pin your arm to the floor on a dex melee roll of difficulty 9. Would you like to dodge it or take it?
I think I'll take it. This one.
Okay. His knife thunks to the floor, just barely misses you. The guy with a stake leaps on top of you and attempts to drive his stake into your chest at difficulty 9.
You need only to
You can dodge it or you can take
take
it.
2 damage. Is it 2 damage you get staked or 1 damage?
2.
I'm going to risk taking it.
Alright. He's going to spend one of his 3 willpower to do this to you. So that's 1 for the hit to hit. He hit with 1, but at least he still gets his damage. So 4, 7, 8, 9. Soak 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lethal damage, please.
Holy shit.
Do you get like stamina buffed?
Yeah, thankfully.
Out through his power, he does.
But I'm not sure if that will be enough to soak. I might be screwed here, actually.
What's your stamina? Do you have fortitude?
No.
What's your stamina rating?
With blood buff that I've currently applied, it's because I applied some on the round of using whatchamacallit.
Armor?
Yeah.
Flesh.
Total of 5 right now.
Alright, and your
Cool.
soak diff is 5, so
Enough dice to cancel out the suck. Oh wait, you can. Ah, fuck.
yep, he jams that stake straight down and pins you to the floor. Ka-chonk!
Did he seem like aware of Het being a vampire or just some random monster?
Well, I'm about to get to that. Because hatchets it, they pick you up, walk you down the street, throw a canvas bag over you, carry you down the street. Eventually, you don't know where, and you can't even tell the time. But eventually, they take you to a room, and they dump your body out. And looking down at you with a big old smirk and smile on her face is the face of Agatha the Bruja.
Fuck
Wait,
me!
what?
Fuck me!
And Agatha leans down, she slaps your face lightly, and she's like, "Hello, you stupid snake bitch. I told you we'd meet again." So, yeah, they throw you in a box, and you are now a hostage for upcoming negotiations.
How long would how long will headships be missing, by the way, after this?
I haven't decided yet. I will get there.
Okay, because depending on the time, Decius will definitely try to summon her. Of course, she probably wouldn't respond, but that will be enough reason for Decius to essentially start be worried.
But for the rest, I'm just going to note this because this is something that, Atwood Hohen plays. You all probably know where she keeps at least a small stockpile of Titan's brew so that her ghouls won't go hungry.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense you have a stash. Man, are we doing a cliffhanger right now, or are we?
No, we are not going to do a rescue right now. I'm going to save that for next session. Albina, Nicodemus, Decius, you guys had amazing hunting rolls. In fact, all of you had amazing hunting rolls, except for Hatshepsut. 4, 4, 4, 5. I guess the only question I'm going to ask is, does anybody kill their victims?
I don't.
Nope.
I don't really have a reason.
Labietta, on the other hand, most likely will.
Wow.
Okay. Well, how many of them do you kill?
Most likely only one.
Okay. I would like you to roll 1 D100, and you want this to be over 20.
Oh man. Check out this nature one.
Wait a minute. See. Oh my god, I'm having a brain fart
want
right
me to
now.
roll it?
There we go. It's alright, I'll roll it.
Yeah.
I was
Slash roll
making sure I was
D100.
rolling it right.
Incoming whelp in
Awesome.
1, 2.
Nice. Nice. Okay, that's
Okay.
good. That's good.
You murder somebody for their blood. There's no easy way to put this. You have murdered somebody for their life-giving fluid, that you may take their life and make it your own. How do you hide the body?
Ooh. Now.
Don't you just take it for your experiments?
I was just gonna
Make it a
say,
zombie.
she's tempted just to sort of put it in, conceal it somehow and sort of take it back.
I just want to mention this.
The only I was just gonna say, the only thing is I don't know if she actually has anywhere currently where she can store bodies. Although, I think I had arranged at some point to, I don't know, get in with the local people who dealt with dead bodies or something. So would they have had somewhere?
They pretty much throw them on a
Where
stack,
they
and
would
when they get around to it,
temporarily-
they burn it.
I just
Yeah.
want to ask something because, from my perspective, it does make sense if you do it. But I don't know, you are the player, so I want to ask. Considering Labiana, would she like carry an extra large cloak with herself so that once she kills a prey, then
Victim.
raises it as a zombie, then uses the large cloak to hide the zombie nature of it, and then just gets the fuck out from the scene? Will that be something you might be doing while hunting?
I suppose, I don't know. Would that be wise though? That would be my question. Could she get away with that?
I would just slit its throat
So
and
at the very least,
hide it under a pile of trash.
yeah, or there's that, you know.
Yeah, I was just saying that because you also want zombies, so maybe it's like hitting two birds with one stone.
And maybe also just to kind of make it look a little less suspicious, take everything that's on them as well, just to make it look like it was a violent mugging or something.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, this is the time of human history where they're like, looks like somebody slit his throat. That's how he died. They found him in the river. He must have drowned.
Oops.
Oh well.
Exactly.
Also, there's an earthquake, so
He might have
does create
slipped.
chaos. Like if a virus started in this age and people hoarded like papers, I'm sure in an earthquake at this age people will murder others. You know.
All right. That's pretty much all I've got for tonight, guys. I need to write.
I mean, that was a big thing to end on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was very
Dum
big thing.
dum.
I was
Yeah,
ex-
like
I was,
suspense.
I was expecting to just get killed.
I was considering like once the stake mentioned and then going for the chase, I was thinking, is this hunters? Is this our first experience with like human hunters going after monsters? But then it happened to be Agatha in the behind the scenes.
I will be honest, I was not expecting to see Agatha again.
Because the way we handled Agatha, me leaving the character, I knew that she was going to some way come back to us. I was waiting for it. I loved the way I love the way Chris just introduced her to the
I take it.
game.
I take it from the high strength there that it was a ghoul, right?
Yes, that was a.
Um,
Well, I don't know that I'd say it was definitely
It
a
would
ghoul because I didn't roll potence, but this was somebody prepped.
it would
This was somebody
I
prepped
was
for
say
the
it would stand
encounter.
to reason.
Yeah.
Because yeah, like Jesus Christ. On the other hand, if if that had gone a different way, that could have also been cool. But you know, that's not the way it went.
I was curious that did those people know that head Shipsuit was head Shipsuit, or was it going the snake that made this happen? Like I'm actually curious about that.
No, I'll tell you guys what. Everybody record an experience point for tonight.
Okay.
Those of you guys at home, thank you for listening. I appreciate it. You have a good evening. And there you have it, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed the return of Agatha Era and her angry Bruges attitude. We'll see if I can play her as good as the player did. So, thank you everybody for joining us once again. Willing to listen to anything you have to say. Hope you have good things, and hope you all have a great evening.